Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Kyle Roerink joins us. He's the Executive Director of the Great Basin Water Network for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Kyle Roerink. He's Executive Director of the Great Basin Water Network. You just got back from Las Vegas as we're taping this, and discussions on the lands bill for Clark County. Is this bill actually going to happen?
Well, Chairman Grijalva from the House Natural Resources Committee was down in Vegas last week, and he kind of sounded a death knell for the bill, at least going through his committee, and his concerns were that the bill does nothing to address climate change, and he essentially signaled that it wouldn't be getting a hearing in his committee, and so that poses a big obstacle. And I think his concern was that you're creating more developable land under SNPLMA, and
so the Southern Nevada
Public Lands Management Act, which is kind of a long-standing tool for expanding the boundaries of the Las Vegas Valley. And so we're creating all this developable land, but I guess the way that he saw it is what are you doing to offset emissions and other things that would exacerbate the climate in the bill, and he didn't see any. So that was kind of his input on it. I think a lot of people are talking about this year's National Defense Authorization Act as a potential vehicle for it, and so I don't think it's dead. I think this is something that the county has put a lot of resources into, and I can't see Southern Nevada just saying we're done with this now.
But interesting, but that would be part of the discussion for putting forward a lands bill anyway would be climate change, but understandable with the current thinking. But do you not feel that Clark County has done a lot of work to work with environmental groups like your own to make sure that everybody is maybe not everybody's happy with everything, but everybody is getting a piece of this?
I think there have been, years, literally years worth of debates and discussion about this, and Senator Cortez Masto's discussion draft of the bill, which came out last week, as it relates to my organization, took out some really, really problematic water language that was in there.
For example?
Well, there were some direct references to the Las Vegas pipeline, and this is a topic that comes up a lot on your show, but it's the 300-mile, $15.5 billion project to take groundwater from eastern Nevada down to Vegas, and we saw some language in there that our position was this undermines a victory that we had in federal court. And so after months and months of kind of back and forth, Senator Cortez Masto removed that language. So for example, there that was something that has been worked on and poured over. I think there are still a lot of concerns among other groups about just expanding the disposal boundaries more and more, and then what. There's this term mitigation. What do you get for having all this new developable land that is federal land, and under the law you kind of have to. Well, if you're going to develop all these federal lands, you got to have some mitigating factors of those, and I think that's where a lot of the questions and concerns still remain among a number of groups.
It was interesting in talking to Tig Segerblum a couple of weeks on the program, and I brought up the topic of Ivanpah and the Ivanpah Airport, and Chairman Kirkpatrick had said on the program she could, if reelected, could serve 10 more years on the Clark County Commission, and she said that she anticipated before she would be done, the Ivanpah would be up and running, which really accelerated that timeline from all the discussions I had heard previously, but certainly no one's going to argue with Marilyn Kirkpatrick. Yeah. But Tig Segerblum said he'd be happy if the airport was never built. What's your organization's thought on that?
We're not really involved in that fight, but the way that I see this bill working in conjunction with that project is I think this bill foresees that happening, and I think a lot of people realize that that's a high priority for a lot of folks down in Vegas, and so you can see where I think they're doing some future community planning around there. But I think what I can say about my organization's position is that, what we're looking at is the 30, 40, 50-year water outlook in southern Nevada, and the variety of scenarios that play out on the Colorado River, and the variety of scenarios that play out as it relates to future demand from what will inevitably be a population increase down there.
Likely 1 million people.
And that's what UNLV estimates, and that's what the Water Authority bases its projections on, is about 1 million people. And so we see scenarios that in as soon as 30 years, and this is an SNWA scenario, they have to tap into future resources. And the centerpiece of their future resource portfolio that the SNWA board just voted on in November is the pipeline and those water resources. So I think looking to the future and saying, how do we avoid this? How do we avoid this? That's where we're concerned, and as we see greater growth, it's just inevitable increase of demand. And I think developing down there, you also have some issues with return flow credits and how to get water that is used, what they call indirect use water. You flush a toilet, you take a shower. How do you get that back in? How do you get it treated and back into Lake Mead so then you can get those return flow credits?
But don't we already have that in place? Isn't the Water Authority accounting for it?
In that southern, if I'm not mistaken, kind of headed south towards where the Ivanpah Airport would be and towards the California border, that infrastructure is not in place.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're talking. Okay.
I apologize.
No, it's fine because these are the issues that are going to have to be discussed. And let's face it, if you're a government agency, it makes a lot of sense to have these conversations in private over a long period of time, so that when you're finally ready to present this to the public, that you can say, okay, we've got mitigation, or these are the issues that we have to deal with, rather than having a 30-year discussion of every problem that could possibly come up.
That's right.
Whereas you do have the technology in place, and I think everybody would have to admit that Southern Nevada Water Authority has done an amazing job in terms of reusing the water that's available.
It's absolutely incredible what they've done. I mean, we take our 300,000 acre-foot allocation, and we almost double it. It's not doubling, but it's over. You turn 300,000 into more than 500,000 acre-feet. That's pretty impressive, and that's the lifeblood of Southern Nevada. So I think making sure that can continue is essential. As we move forward with these lands bills, there was discussion for a while about having an omnibus lands bill, because there are all kinds of lands bills being requested across the state. The city of Fernley was coming up with another one just the other day. And the idea was to put it into an omnibus lands bill, so all would go at the same time. It sounds to me like, with the discussions in Las Vegas for Clark County, that is it unlikely that we would see an omnibus bill? I think especially this year that'll be tough, and you have to think about it. So if the NDAA, if the National Defense Authorization Act is a vehicle for it, because that's such a military focused bill, and then you're also going to have some pretty controversial topics like the Nevada Test and Training Range expansion and the Nellis expansion, and then maybe Fallon in there, are the politicians who most likely aren't from Nevada, who are managing this thing on the floor, on the floors of Congress in their respective chambers. Are they just going to start throwing in all these kind of Christmas tree ornaments into that bill? And I don't know.
Do you regard them as that? Because I mean, that certainly could be an opinion on one side, but on the other side, you look at communities, Fernley, Lovelock, Fallon, Yerington, all kinds of areas. I guess Yerington's probably got as much as they're going to get, done so far.
Communities.
Yeah, but they look at this as the lifeblood of the future for them, and their opportunity to take their piece of the expansion of the Reno-Sparks area, because that is booming so much that you're going to need more affordable places.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was just speaking on behalf of getting it in the NDAA.
Yeah.
Now, I think, there are other opportunities for this to happen. But, it being an election year and, D.C. being what it is, I guess I personally don't have a whole lot of optimism. Especially.
Does Lisa Murkowski play into this as well? Because my understanding is that she's not real excited about more lands bills.
I think I haven't I'm not privy to what she is saying right now, but I think again, if those comments are true, I think it speaks to the nature of how complicated these things are. And when you start saying, hey, we're doing lands bills, like it's a multi-year process in D.C.
to say the least.
And so, I think 2009, 2014, where there were some big packages that were passed, I think that exemplifies kind of the amount of time in between the passage of these major lands bills. So, in some respects, maybe we are due, but if that work isn't being done in D.C. right now, I think you better not get your hopes up. But if it's being done here right now, I think you're putting yourself in a position where the powers that be in Washington say, okay, it's time. I know Nevada is will be ready to put forward proposals. So. There's counties everywhere that are working on these things.
All right, let's take a break. More with Carl Roerink when we come back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia. Yeah.
Because of UMC, there's a wide open road ahead of me.
Because of UMC, she can grow up with her twin sister.
Because of UMC, I'm here to help you.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Kyle Roerink. He's the executive director of the Great Basin Water Network. Brad Kroll, director of Conservation and Natural Resources, was on the program. And I think he, in some ways, surprised a lot of people with his comments about the pipeline. And if you're going to have a multi-billion-dollar project, maybe it's okay to look at other ways of doing this. And the response was swift and pointed. Your thoughts on, are we looking at a major change in water philosophy in the Silver State that is, pretty close to 180 degrees from where it was before?
I think the context behind Director Kroll's comments, you have to see where he's coming from. He's looking at a groundwater basin portfolio where 50% of the 256 groundwater basins are either at, they're fully appropriated or they're over appropriated, meaning, on paper, you're at 100% of the capacity that you can, where people can be pumping and it's sustainable, or you're beyond that. So for him, I think, looking at that, I certainly can understand where he's coming from and saying that. And so I think what we're seeing with, the Stonegate and the Cold Springs issues, where he's, they put a moratorium and they're saying, hey, we're going through this adjudication process. This is the way things should be done, because, and I think they've even admitted essentially that, over the years they've appropriated water when they shouldn't have, and now we're dealing with those consequences, and the data don't lie. So I think what they're really saying is that we are going to be thoughtful, and we are going to be considerate, and we are going to use the best available science when we're making these decisions, that we're in an area like the North Valleys, this is over 30, 40, 50, 100 years, this will affect families in the long run. And so I think, just kind of this careful consideration is a welcome change, at least from my position.
And you look at the history of the Walker Lake and the Walker River. I mean, you talk about over-appropriation there. It was like the movie The Producers, where they put together a show that had to fail because they had so many people sponsoring the show, that if the show succeeded, they wouldn't have enough money to pay everybody. So the secret was the show had to fail, and then a song called "Springtime for Hitler" became a big hit. And watch the movie if you're not aware of this show. It's really a fascinating example of over-appropriation.
Well, that's right, and I think to talk about over-appropriation as it relates to the Las Vegas pipeline. His comments were, are there better things that we can do? I think, the data show how problematic that project would be for the future of groundwater throughout an area that's larger than New England. And I think as the director of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, he understands that. And he's also involved in litigation regarding that with my organization and with the Water Authority. And I think he also sees, I know this is something that Commissioner Kirkpatrick brought up. She said, well, look at our water resource plan. Well, the centerpiece of their water resource plan right now is the water from the pipeline. So I think it's very fair for the director to be talking about how are we going to move forward, and we are going to do things differently, because if history shows anything, it's that they haven't over the course of the last century they haven't been that prudent, and the over appropriation statistics demonstrate that.
Pat Morroy also said on the program, as you know, that it wasn't the plan for the pipeline, but that was the last part of it. It wasn't something that they were looking at, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Brad Crow will be back on the program. He and I have been exchanging emails, and he's going to come back on the program. We'll hopefully do that in March and get more input from him. But yes, he certainly created quite the firestorm.
He did, and I just think it's a good conversation to be having. Is how are we managing this resource in the nation's driest state?
And also the change in thought. Obviously, he works for the governor, so one presumes the governor has already said he's not in favor of moving that water. So you have potentially another 6 years of that pipeline not being under discussion, but then again, probably not going away either.
And could I say this just real quick?
Yes,
is
sir.
that, he's like, they get sued so much by anybody. You do one thing, you get sued. You do the opposite thing, you get sued. I think, they're just in such a tricky place. They're trying to do the best thing right now, and their actions demonstrate that.
So it should be the Department of Conservation, Natural Resources, and Litigation. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Carl Roerink, Executive Director for the Great Basin Water Network. You were also previously a reporter for the Las Vegas Sun. You also worked many years doing press for Dina Titus. And I was just kind of curious to get your take on a political issue, which is the Teachers Association of Clark County. Looking to raise the sales tax and put a 2% tax on the gaming properties. Where do you think this is heading?
You know, I mean, like, I remember covering the margins tax issue years ago, and you know, it was kind of when I saw the split. You know, I was a new reporter, and I saw the split between NSEA and CCEA, and so I was surprised to see the Clark County Teachers Union proposing the tax. But I think what it really does is it puts forward again a need to talk about, you know, more funding, and it just sets a stage for a continued debate. It seems like this is a never-ending debate, and I know the Clark County Commission just kind of reworked the quarter-cent sales tax issue for more education funding, and you know, it's a constant issue in the legislature, and you know, one that is certainly still of discussion about, you know, how money was raised during the legislative session.
But so, can you see the gaming companies going for a 2% increase?
You know, I think if the 2015 session is any indicator, where you had Governor Sandoval pass that large tax package, and gaming, you know, largely went untouched, I think you'll see the same strategy unfold. Is just looking for, you know, I think it starts another conversation, is can we look at other entities who aren't paying their fair share? I think that's exactly where this will start, because, you know, that's the Nevada way.
And that's where we have to leave it. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.